Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Criticizing the Jews for concealing what Allah revealed. Allah said, "Verily those who conceal what Allah has sent down of the book," meaning the Jews who concealed their books, descriptions of Muhammad, all of which testify to his truth as a messenger and a prophet. They concealed this information so that they would not lose authority and the position that they had with the Arabs, whether they would bring them gifts and honor them. The cursed Jews feared that if they announced what they know about Muhammad, then the people would abandon them and follow him. So they hide the truth so that they may retain the little that they were getting, and they sold their souls for the little profit. They preferred the little that they gained over guidance and following the truth, believing in the messenger and having faith in what Allah was sent with. Therefore, they have profited failure and loss in this life and the hereafter. As for this world, Allah made the truth about His Messenger known anyway by the clear signs and the unequivocal proofs. Thereafter, those whom the Jews feared would follow the Prophet, believed in him, and followed him anyway. And so they became his supporters against them. Thus the Jews earned injury on top of the wrath that they already had earned before, and Allah criticized them again many times in His book. For instance, Allah said in this ayat, "Verily those who conceal what Allah has sent down of the book and purchase a small gain therewith of worldly things," meaning the joys and delights of this earthly life. Allah said, "They eat into their bellies nothing but fire," meaning whatever they eat in return for hiding the truth will turn into a raging fire in their stomachs on the day of resurrection. Similarly, Allah said, "Verily those who unjustly eat up the property of the orphans, they eat up only fire into their bellies, and they will be burnt in the blazing fire." Also reported in an authentic hadith is that Allah's Messenger said, "Those who eat or drink in golden or silver plates are filling their stomachs with the fire of Jahannam, hell." Allah said, "Allah will not speak to them on the day of resurrection, nor purify them, and theirs will be a painful torment." This is because Allah is furious with them for concealing the truth. They thus deserve Allah's anger, so Allah will not look at them or purify them, meaning that He will not praise them but will cause them to taste a severe torment. Then Allah said about them, "Those are they who have purchased error for guidance. Hence they opposed the guidance, that is, not announcing the Prophet's description. They find in their books the news about his prophecy and the good news of his coming, which the previous prophets claimed, as well as following and believing in him. Instead, they preferred misguidance by denying him, rejecting him, and concealing his descriptions that were mentioned in their books." Allah said, "And torment at the price of forgiveness," meaning they prefer torment over forgiveness due to sins they have committed. Allah then said, "So how bold they are for evil deeds which will punish them to the fire." Allah states that they will suffer such severe, painful torment that those who see them will be amazed at how they could bear the tremendous punishment, torture, and pain that they will suffer. We seek refuge with Allah from this evil end. Allah's statement, "This is because Allah has sent down the book, the Qur'an, in truth," means they deserve this painful torment because Allah has revealed books to His Messenger Muhammad and the prophets before him, and these revelations bring about truth and expose falsehood. Yet they took Allah's signs for mockery. Their books ordered them to announce the truth and to spread the knowledge, but instead they defied the knowledge and rejected it. This final messenger, Muhammad, called them to Allah, commanded them to work righteousness, and forbade them from committing evil. Yet they rejected, denied, and defied him and hid the truth that they knew about him. They thus mocked the ayat that Allah revealed to his messengers, and this is why they deserved the torment and the punishment. This is why Allah said here, that is because Allah has sent down the book, the Qur'an, in truth, and verily those who disputed about the book are far away in opposition. It is not bir that you turn your faces towards east and or west, but bir is the one who believes in Allah, the last day, the angels, the book, the prophets, and gives his wealth in spite of love for it to kinsfolk, to the orphans, and to al masakin, the poor, and to the wayfarer, and to those who ask, and to set servants free, performs as-salah, ikamat as-salah, and gives the zakat, and who fulfill their covenant when they make it, and who are patient in extreme poverty and ailment, disease, and at the time of fighting during the battles. Such are the people of the truth, and they are al-muttaqun, the pious. Al-bir, piety, righteousness. This ayat contains many great wisdoms encompassing rulings and correct beliefs. Allah says, it is not bir that you turn your faces towards east and west, but bir is the one who believes in Allah, the last day, the angels, the book, the prophets. As for the explanation of this ayat, Allah first commanded the believers to face Baitul Muqaddas and then to face the Kaaba during the prayer. This change was difficult for some of the people of the book and even for some Muslims. Then Allah sent revelation which clarified the wisdom behind this command, that is, obedience to Allah, adhering to His commands, facing wherever He commands facing, and implementing whatever He legislates, that is the objective. This is bir, taqwa, and complete faith. Facing the east or the west does not necessitate righteousness or obedience unless it is legislated by Allah. This is why Allah said, it is not bir that you turn your faces towards east and west in prayers, but bir is the one who believes in Allah and the last day. Similarly, Allah said about the sacrifices, it is neither their meat nor their blood that reaches Allah, but it is the piety from you that reaches Him. Abu al-Alayya said, the Jews used to face the west for their Qibla, while the Christians used to face the east for their Qibla. So Allah said, it is not bir that you turn your faces towards east or west in prayers. Meaning this is faith and its essence requires implementation. Similar was reported from Al-Hassan and Ar-Rabi bin Anas. At-Thawari recited, but bir is the one who believes in Allah, and said that what follows are the types of bir. He has said the truth. Certainly those who acquired the qualities mentioned in the ayat will have indeed embraced all aspects of Islam and implemented all types of righteousness, believing in Allah that He is the only God worthy of worship, and believing in the angels, the emissaries between Allah and His messenger. The books are the divinely revealed books from Allah to the prophets, which were finalized by the most honorable book, the Qur'an. The Qur'an supersedes all previous books. It mentions all types of righteousness and the way to happiness in this life and the hereafter. The Quran abrogates all previous books and testifies to all of Allah's prophets, from the first prophet to the final prophet Muhammad. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon them all. Allah's statement and gives his wealth in spite of love for it refers to those who give money away while desiring it and loving it. It is recorded in the Sahihan that Abu Huraira narrated that the Prophet said, "The best charity is when you give it away while still healthy and thrifty, hoping to get rich and fearing poverty." Allah said, "And they give food in spite of their love for it to the miskin, the poor, the orphan, and the captive, saying, 'We feed you seeking Allah's face only. We wish for no reward nor thanks from you. And by no means shall you attain bir unless you spend of that which you love.'" Allah's statement, "and give them preference over themselves even though they were in need of that," refers to a high category and status, as the people mentioned here give away what they need, while those mentioned in the previous ayat give away what they covet but not necessarily need. Allah's statement, "the kinsfolk," refer to man's relative who have more rights than anyone else to one's charity, as the hadith supports. Sadaqah, charity given to the poor, is a charity, while the sadaqah given to the relatives is both sadaqah and silah, nurturing relations. For they are the most deserving of you and your kindness and charity. Allah has commanded kindness to the relatives in many places in the Quran. To the orphans. The orphans are children who have none to look after them, having lost their fathers while they are still young, weak, and unable to find their own sustenance, since they have not reached the age of work and adolescence. Abdul Razzaq reported that Ali said that the Prophet said, "And to al-Masakin, the miskin is the poor who does not have enough food, clothing, or he has no dwelling. So the miskin should be granted the provisions to sustain him enough so that he can acquire his needs." In the Sahihan, it is recorded that Abu Huraira said that Allah's Messenger said, "The miskin is not the person who roams around and whose need is met by one or two dates or one or two bites. Rather, the miskin is he who does not have what is sufficient and to whom the people do not pay attention and thus do not give him from the charity. And to the wayfarer is the needy traveler who runs out of money and should thus be granted whatever amount that helps him to go back to his land. Such is the case with whoever intends to go on a permissible journey. He is given what he needs for his journey and back." The guests are included in this category. Ali bin Abu Talha reported that Ibn Abbas said, "Ibn as-Sabil, wayfarer, is the guest who is hosted by Muslims." Furthermore, Mujahid, Said bin Jubair, Abu Jafar al-Bakir, al-Hasan, Qatada, ad-Dahak, az-Zuhri, al-Rabi bin Anas, and Muqattil bin Hayyan said similarly. "And to those who ask," refers to those who beg people and are thus given a part of the zakat and general charity. "And to set servants free." These are the servants who seek to free themselves but cannot find enough money to buy their freedom. We will mention several of these categories and types under the tafsir of the ayat on sadaqah in Surah Baqrah, if Allah willing. Allah's statement, "Perform as-salah," ikamat as-salah, means those who pray on time and give the prayer its due right, the bowing, prostration, and the necessary attention and humbleness required by Allah. Allah's statement, "and gives the zakat." Said bin Jubair and Muqattil bin Hayyan have stated, means the required charity, zakat, due on one's money. Allah's statement, "and who fulfill their covenant when they make it," is similar to those who fulfill the covenant of Allah and break not the mithaq, bond, treaty, covenant. The opposite of the characteristic is hypocrisy, as found in a hadith. The signs of the hypocrite are three. If he speaks, he lies. If he promises, he breaks his promise. And if he is entrusted, he breaches the trust. In another version, if he speaks, he lies. If he vows, he breaks his vow. And if he disputes, he is lewd. Allah's statement, and who are patient in extreme poverty and ailment, disease, and at the time of fighting during the battles, means during the time of meekness and ailment, and at the time of fighting during battles. Ibn Masud, Ibn Abbas, Abu al-Alayya, Marha al-Hamdani, Mujahid, Said bin Jubair, Al-Hassan Qatada, Al-Rabi bin Anas, As-Sudi, Muqattil bin Hayyan, Abu Malik, Ad-Dahak and others have stated, means on the battlefield while facing the enemy. And calling them the patient here is a form of praise because of the importance of patience in these circumstances and the suffering and difficulties that accompany them. And Allah knows best, it is He whom help is sought from, and upon Him we rely. Allah's statement, such are the people of the truth, means whoever acquires these qualities, these are truthful in their faith. This is because they have achieved faith in the heart and realized it in deed and upon the tongue. So they are truthful and they are al-muttaqun, the pious, because they avoided the prohibitions and performed the acts of obedience. O you who believe, al-qisas, the law of equality is prescribed for you in case of murder. The free for the free, the slave for the slave, and the female for the female. But if the killer is forgiven by the brother or the relatives of the killed against blood money, then it should be sought in a good manner and paid to him respectfully. This is an alleviation and a mercy from your Lord. So after this, whoever transgresses the limits, kills the killer after taking the blood money, he shall have a painful torment. And there is a saving of life for you in Al-Qisas, the law of equality in punishment, O man of understanding, that you may acquire taqwa. The command and the wisdom behind the law of equality. Allah says, O you who believe, Al-Qisas, the law of equality, is prescribed for you in case of murder, the free for the free, the slave for the slave, and the female for the female. Allah states, O believers, the law of equality has been ordained on you for case of murder, the free for the free, slave for the slave, and the female for the female. Therefore, do not transgress the set limits, as others before you transgressed them and thus changed what Allah has ordained for them. The reason behind the statement is that the Jewish tribe of Banu an-Nadir invaded Qurayza, another Jewish tribe during the time of Jahiliyyah before Islam, and defeated them. Hence they made it a law that when a person from Nadir kills a person from Qurayza, he is not killed in a retaliation but only pays 100 wask of dates. However, when a person from Qurayza kills a Nadir man, he would be killed for him. If Nadir wanted to forfeit the execution of the murderer and instead require him to pay a ransom, the Qurayza man pays 200 wask of dates, double the amount Nadir pays in Deha, blood money. So Allah commanded that justice be observed regarding the penal code, and that the path of misguided and mischievous persons be avoided, who in disbelief and transgression defy and alter what Allah has commanded them. Allah said, Al-Qisas, the law of equality in punishment, is prescribed for you in case of murder, the free for the free, the slave for the slave, and the female for the female. Allah's statement, free for the free, the slave for the slave, and the female for the female, was abrogated by the statemental life for life. However, the majority of scholars agree that the Muslim is not killed for a disbeliever whom he kills. Al-Bukhari reported that Ali narrated that Allah's messenger said, "The Muslim is not killed for the disbeliever whom he kills." No opinion that opposes his ruling could stand correct, nor is there an authentic hadith to contradict it. However, Abu Hanifa thought that the Muslim could be killed for a disbeliever, following the general meaning of the ayat in Surah Al-Mu'aidah. The four Imams, Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi, and Ahmad, and the majority of scholars stated that the group is killed for one person whom they murder. Umar said about a boy who was killed by 7 men, "If all the residents of Sana'a, capital of Yemen today, collaborated on killing him, I would kill them all." No opposing opinion was known by the companions during that time, which constitutes a near ijma consensus. There is an opinion attributed to Imam Ahmad that a group of people is not killed for one person whom they kill, and that only one person is killed for one person. Ibn al-Mundhir also attributed this opinion to Mu'adha Ibn al-Zubair, Abdul Malik bin Marwan, al-Zuhri, Ibn Sirin, and Habib bin Abu Tahbit. Allah's statement, "But if the killer is forgiven by the brother or the relatives of the killed against blood money, then it should be sought in a good manner and paid to him respectfully," refers to accepting blood money by the relatives of the victim in return for pardoning the killer in cases of intentional murder. This opinion is attributed to Abu al-Aliyah, Abu Shahta, Mujahid, Said bin Jubair, Ata al-Hassan, Qatada, and Muqattil bin Hayyan. Ad-Dahak said that Ibn Abbas said, "But if the killer is forgiven by the brother or the relatives of the killed against blood money means the killer is pardoned by his brother, the relative of the victim, and accepting the diha after capital punishment becomes due against the killer. This is the afu, pardon mentioned in the ayat. Allah's statement, "Then it should be sought in a good manner," means when the relative agrees to take the blood money, he should collect his rightful dues with kindness and pay it to him respectfully. Means the killer should accept the terms of settlement without causing further harm or resisting the payment. Allah's statement, "This is an alleviation and a mercy from your Lord," means the legislation that allows you to accept the blood money for intentional murder is an alleviation and a mercy from your Lord. It lightens what was required from those who were before you, either applying capital punishment or forgiving. Said bin Mansur reported that Ibn Abbas said, "The children of Israel were required to apply the law of equality in murder cases and were not allowed to offer pardons in return for blood money. Allah said to this Ummah, the Muslim nation, the law of equality in punishment is prescribed for you in case of murder, the free for the free, the servant for the servant, and the female for the female. But if the killer is forgiven by the brother or the relatives of the killed against blood money," hence pardoning or forgiving means accepting blood money in intentional murder cases. Ibn Hibban also recorded this in his Sahih. Qatada said, "This is an alleviation from your Lord. Allah had mercy on this ummah by giving them the diha, which was not allowed for any nation before it." The people of the Torah, Jews, were allowed to either apply the penal code for murder execution or to pardon the killer, but they were not allowed to take blood money. The people of the Injil, the Gospel, the Christians were required to pardon the killer, but not Diha was legislated. The Ummat Muslims is allowed to apply the penal code, execution, or to pardon and accept the blood money. Similar was reported from Sayyid bin Jubair, Muqattil bin Hayyan, and Ar-Rabi bin Anas. Allah's statement, so after this, whoever transgresses the limits, he shall have a painful torment, means those who kill in retaliation after taking the diha or accepting it. They will suffer a painful and severe torment from Allah. The same was reported from Ibn Abbas, Mujahid, Ata Ikrimah, Al-Hassan Qatada, Al-Rabi bin Anas, As-Sudi and Muqattil bin Hayyan.